mentioned before that I'm a writer and that I write a lot about jewelry. I think about jewelry all the time. I'm always looking at it, and I know a ton about trends. So I thought it would be fun to share this year's with you, tell you what they are, give you my thoughts on them, and show you some examples. This year's jewelry trends are a lot of fun. I would say that the main themes are maximalism and romanticism. Before we get into discussing the trends, I want to give some general thoughts on trends. When people talk about trends, they often do it in the context of things either being in or out. That's not really how I think about trends, and I'm not sure for me if it's a super useful way to think about trends, especially jewelry trends, which tend to move a lot more slowly than fashion trends. I think of it as all jewelry is an option at all times, and then the trending pieces are just the options that more people are choosing right now. And I think that jewelry trends can be really useful. I think they can be inspiring. They can inspire you to, of course, get a new piece if you are interested in the trend and you feel like it works with your personal style. But they can also inspire you to maybe wear some jewelry you have that you haven't worn in a while, or wear some jewelry you have in a new way. Because a lot of the times jewelry trends are styling trends, so not necessarily specific pieces, but more how people are wearing them. So I just kind of wanted to mention my thoughts on that as I go through. I'm not saying that the rules you have to wear these or anything like that. It's just observations. And I also think that trends can be entertaining, because who doesn't like looking at pretty jewelry? I definitely like looking at pretty jewelry. So relax with me and we'll look at this year's trends. Also, I'm going to make a companion Pinterest board, so if you want to close your eyes because you're going to sleep or are relaxing that way, but you also want to see the pieces, you can take a quick look at the board before you close your eyes. So for the trends, we are going to look at three things: the overarching themes, and how jewelry this year fits in with clothing this year, because it gives it important context, I think, to know about fashion, because we're wearing the jewelry with clothing. So the overall context, then we'll look at the biggest trends of the year, and then the more minor trends. So the overarching themes this year in jewelry are, as I said, maximalism and romanticism, and these are in my opinion, of course, it's subjective, but I would say maximalism, romanticism, and then also creative styling and bold sizing. So kind of just like literally everything is bigger by a bit than it was last year. So the maximalism element has a thread that ties back to 2022. In fashion, in 2022, there was a trend toward something called dopamine dressing, which is kind of like people needing some dopamine, basically needing to wear clothes that made them happy, or wanting to wear clothes spark of joy. So a lot of the clothes in 2022 were really bright and maybe had big patterns and fun shapes sculpturally. So the jewelry in 2022, a lot of it was also colorful and leaning towards maximalist, but then there were still more delicate pieces to complement the really bold clothing. So then last year, in 2023, the clothing got overall less bright and stand out, and there was a trend toward people wanting really well-made basics. There was more than one theme in the clothing that year, but I would say that basically that was a big, important, overarching thing. So the jewelry for 2023, a lot of it was still maximalist because it complemented the more pared down, simple, minimalistic clothing that people were wearing. There was also a lot of layering, which is kind of a maximalist styling option. But then there were still some delicate pieces like there had been the year before. But a lot of the time they were being layered. There was also a lot of self-expression in the jewelry. So a lot of personalized pieces. So that brings us to this year, and things are very maximalist, and they're also pretty romantic. So I think that makes perfect sense with the fashion trends of this year. So the fashion of this year, when I look at it, a lot of it seems very minimalistic in the same way it was last year, with people wanting those more high quality basics. And there's also an element of 90s minimalism, I would say, in the clothing. Then when looking at the runways this year, there were a lot of metallics, a lot of black and white, and then I consulted Vogue's runway coverage to see what they thought of the year's fashion trends, because I definitely know more about jewelry trends and fashion trends, and I love Vogue's runway coverage on their website. So some of the things they said were trending were black and white, and I believe they noted that the black and white was kind of designers playing it safe in sort of an uncertain economy. Then there's kind of a subcategory of ethereal white dresses, lacy, diaphanous, sheer, then a lot of sheer details in general. And then there are also trousers, kind of workwear, metallics, roses, blazers, icy blue, pencil skirts, preppy, and netting, which is an interesting one. But there's actually a jewelry trend that goes with that. So a lot of sort of classic and then also romantic things in there. And then there's an element of workwear. And if we're thinking about fashion in 2024 and trends and how people think about fashion, we really cannot ignore the sort of TikTok-y micro trends. Quiet luxury, balletcore, mob wife, all these little labels are put on things all the time now. I find myself feeling a little bit fatigued at the labels, though they're certainly relevant and I can understand how they are helpful, but it's just kind of a lot. And I find myself thinking that, not everything needs a little name. However, I do think that some of these little micro trends are certainly relevant. Some of them I feel are not, and it reminds me of in Mean Girls when Gretchen Wieners keeps saying that things are fetch, and then at one point Regina George tells her to stop trying to make fetch happen. That's how I feel with some of these TikTok micro trends. And before making this video, I looked up to see kind of what other people were saying about these. There was one article that called them like try-hard nicknames or something like that, which is definitely true for some of them. But I looked up to see what a certain fashion person, I don't know her title, what she thinks, Mandy Lee on TikTok. And she had a video about it, and she said in a video, in the past, styles were named after they were developed, but now styles are being named when they've barely even started, like sometimes even before they're a thing, which is when I think they feel kind of try hard. And she pointed out that it is kind of an overall trend of aspirational consumerism, like people wanting to buy personal style or buy an identity by buying things with these aesthetics. Maybe not even people wanting to buy, but people marketing the little micro trends, the little names, as a way you can buy personal style, as a way you can buy identity. So I find myself thinking that, I mean, that's not great, obviously, but it also kind of is what it is as of right now, that it's definitely a trend for things to get little names. And the names are often just repackaging. Like, quiet luxury to me sounds like, you know, old money. It's not a new thing. In her video, Mandy pointed out a few more parallels that I can't remember off the top of my head, of just things kind of being repackaged. But for better or for worse, they are here with us for now. I personally think that people are going to become fatigued, and it will be less of a trend to do the little names for stuff, but we'll have to see. But so some of these micro trends are absolutely real and relevant and make a big impact on both the clothing and jewelry, in my opinion. And when I was looking at them, there were three that I thought were really relevant. And they are quiet luxury, coquette, or ballet core, whatever you want to call it. I think I'll call it coquette because it sounds nice. And because this is an ASMR video, I'm gonna, you know, prioritize the sound. And then office siren. Quiet luxury is kind of just having nice clothes, looking rich, but not looking like you look rich. So kind of just luxurious but elegant and not tacky. Think exceptionally well made basics. Then coquette is ultra girly things. You know, think bows, ruffles, soft pink, very girly things. Then office siren is kind of like workwear, but a little bit more stylish, a little bit more sexy. And it's not really like something you would wear to an office. I mean, depending on your office, maybe you could. But in a traditional office, an office siren look would be a little too sexy probably. But to me it feels like it makes perfect sense with the fashion trends and the things that are popping up on the runway with the workwear. And it's kind of like workwear as not just workwear, which was a big trend in the early and mid 2000s. And I feel like that might be coming back. So that's a summary of sort of how we got here and where we are right now. I think it's really useful and interesting to think about, you know, what clothes and jewelry say about the cultural consciousness. People are longing for higher quality things. They're longing for more romanticism in their life. And when it comes to the jewelry, I think we kind of all need the dopamine too, still a bit. It's not the easiest time in the world, and we might be kind of 1920s-ing it with the, party wear all the time. This might be our flapper moment. So now let's get into the specific trends. Hopefully you find that background information interesting. I think that it's just really nice to know how things fit together. So I would like to start out with the biggest trend of the year, in my opinion. And it's a trend that works for all three of those micro trends: quiet luxury, coquette, and office siren. And it is pearls. So, pearls have been trending for quite a while now. When getting ready to make this video, I was thinking about it, and I remember them starting to trend in around 2019. I specifically remember Harry Styles wearing a pearl necklace, and a lot of people were talking about it, and it was after that pearls were booming. Not saying that he caused the trend all on his own, but I think it made an impact. So, they've been trending since 2019, but I really feel like they've reached a fever pitch this year of dominance. When I was looking at different jewelry websites in particular, the amount of pearl jewelry is staggering. So pearls are just a gemstone, and they're a very classic gemstone with a beautiful natural luster. But before 2019, it was kind of just a classic item, people wore it sometimes, and if it suits your personal style, people would wear it all the time. I actually used to wear these studs every day for most of the 2010s. I love pearls. They don't have to be in style for me to like them. But it was, kind of not necessarily trending. And then in 2019, a specific type of pearl jewelry started trending. And it was basically anything that did not look like this. So anything that did not look like traditional pearl jewelry. So instead of stranded pearls like this, white, round, and a little bit medium long, this is a very classic kind of pearl necklace. They would maybe have baroque pearls with an unusual shape, or a mixture of sizes, or pearls used in an unusual way, like dangling from a hoop, earring, a lot of different ways. So pearl jewelry has been trending like that for a while, and I feel like the trend has kind of steadily grown would say that all pearl jewelry is trending, including more classic looking pieces like this. And that's good news for me, because that's all I have, really. I didn't get very much of the unusual pearl jewelry, but pearl jewelry is just very dominant at the moment. For every single trend on this list that's gonna follow, it's unbelievably easy to find a version that has pearls. And I might put pictures in, and I'll show you. It's just very, very easy to find a pearl version of absolutely everything. They're just so dominant right now. They're really everywhere. And it makes sense because, like I said, they really work for basically every fashion trend. So, classic pearls work very well for quiet luxury. They also are kind of girly, so they work very well for coquette. And this soft white, luminescent color of pearls, I feel like it works really well with coquette too. And then this is classic office wear, so it works well with office siren, and it works well with like all the trends too that Vogue, for example, said are happening this year. It's white, so it looks great with black and white. I think it looks lovely with the icy blue of the air. I suppose I will say that not all pearls are trending, but all white pearls are trending. So pearls do come in other colors other than white, like champagne and gray and black, but it is the white ones that are trending. So, if you like pearls, there's a wealth of options for you to choose from basically everywhere this year. Oh, do you know what I thought was interesting? When I was looking this up, hardly anyone, at least not from the Google results that came up, who was talking about 2024 jewelry trends, said pearls were trending. Some people on TikTok did, and overall I found the TikTok results, when you just search 2024 jewelry trends, to be a lot more accurate than the written Google trends. I think that probably is just a Google issue though, I'm sure there are more accurate articles that are just not coming up. But no one really said pearls, and I wondered if maybe they just didn't say because it's not a new trend. But to me it's so dominant that it's the biggest trend of the year, whether or not it was trending last year. It wasn't the biggest trend last year. I feel like I'd have to think about it, but off the top of my head I'd say personalized jewelry was the biggest trend of last year, or tennis jewelry, but so, next up, let's talk about a styling trend. I already mentioned it in the intro, but it's layering. So, this is another trend that was trending last year, but it is a little bit different this year. So last year, I feel like it was more common for people to wear things kind of like this. This is a pre-layered necklace. With this wide drop feature, but a lot of the pieces that people were layering were very thin, delicate pieces, and then maybe, people would wear them with one standout piece. That can be really helpful when you're layering. It can make your jewelry look more cohesive, because it gives you a focal point to have one more bold piece in a layered look. However, this year, everything is pretty bold in the layered looks that I've been seeing, which is really interesting. That's to magazines. Not a lot of layering in there. Not a lot of jewelry in general compared to these days. So it's definitely something that comes in and out of fashion. And I do feel like the layering we have going on right now is kind of unique. The little delicate pieces together, now the bigger, bolder pieces together. It's interesting. It is really fun. It helps you use pieces you have in new ways. So another big trend, and this one is in the coquette category for sure, bows. And I cannot believe that I do not have a bow piece to show you in my jewelry collection. I love the way it looks, and I know I used to have a little silver ring, and it was kind of thin wire, and at the top it was twisted into a bow, like a little metal bow, but I couldn't find it when getting it ready today. So I don't know where it is, but I'll show you pictures. There are these really cool pearl earrings that are bows that are like long that I really like. A statement earring, super romantic. I like this trend. It is really pretty, and it also seems very easy to kind of DIY if you don't want to spend money but you want to try the look. If you have literally any bit of ribbon, you can make a bow and add it onto something you have. So, for example, if you make a little ribbon, maybe about that size, you can stick the post of an earring like in there, and then slip it against your ear, and the pressure will hold the bow nicely in place. And you can try the bow trend without having to buy anything. Just any bit of ribbon or string that will hold its shape in some way. You can do it. You could also try tying a bow on a hoop. That could be really fun. You could try like a lot of different proportions with that. Maybe even do multiple on a large hoop like this. So up next, we have something that I mentioned being a huge trend last year, and it's still trending, so I'm still gonna mention it. And it's personalized jewelry. So I think I only have one piece that qualifies in this category, and I took it off the chain. So this is a piece of birthstone jewelry. It's a garnet. Can you see? I wonder if it just looks black on camera, but it's red. Garnets come in multiple colors, but for birthstone jewelry, it's pretty much always red garnets. Just nice deep red gemstone. So birthstone jewelry is trending, but bigger than that, I would say, is initial jewelry and jewelry that spells something out, like maybe I would say RELAX in charms on a necklace and say relax, or you can spell your name. Zodiac jewelry is also trending, and so are signet rings, and so are an interesting kind of birth jewelry that I haven't seen much until recently, until maybe last year or the year before. Birth flower jewelry. So that's kind of a fun alternative to birthstone jewelry. I don't know if that's a new thing or an old thing, but I've only seen it recently. works really well with maximalism too, because a lot of it is really graphic, or it has colors, like festoon pieces. So it brings some drama, and it brings some pow, especially to like a layered look. And I think I would say like initial and just letter jewelry is the most popular that I see in that category right now. So moving on to another big trend from the last few years. This one I think is settling down a little and changing a little, but still very much ever present. So still gonna tell you about it. And it is chains. So chains have been trending for a bunch of years now, mostly slightly chunky chains like this one. Also really fine chains like this one, where the links are the main feature of it. That's what makes it different from, just any old necklace that has a chain. Though not all necklaces have chains, but, different from a pendant. The chain is the detail. The chain is like the focus piece of the jewelry. And chain details are also trending, like as accents on jewelry that's not necessarily a bracelet or a necklace. So going back to this pearl, last year I remember there was kind of a lot of earrings that had like little chains like that. Is it small enough? I mean, is it big enough for you to see? Like a little accent like this, maybe going to a second earring. Oh, it's on the run. But yeah, just chains hanging off of everything. But this year I feel like it's a little bit different because last year and a lot of the years before, it was kind of chains on chains on chains. But this year, I feel like the chains are getting mixed with other things, and they're not even necessarily the main event anymore. So that makes me think they're settling down a little bit, but still very much ever present, dominant. Last year it looks like, kind of near the beginning of the year, that all the chains were going to get fine, but then they did not. They kind of reverted. People want the weight. They want the size. I love this bracelet. It's really old. I got it at a random clothing store. I think in Santa Barbara. I have no idea what it's made of, but it gives me a hardware store vibe, and I like it a lot. It's probably brass. It feels really nice on your wrist. It's really heavy, but not so heavy that, it's hard to lift your hand or something like that. Up next, we have a trend that was popular in like maybe 2017, 2018, and then it faded out a bit, and now it's back, but it's a little bit different. And that trend is chokers. So chokers were trending around 2017-18, but it was more so this kind of choker, this fabric, minimalist, 90s style choker. Ones like this, made of velvet, was not my budget. I wanted to just get like a little something, you know, maybe it could be demi fine, or maybe, I don't know, or maybe brass or something that's not as expensive. But, it was challenging. Now, however, there are way more chokers in store, so I'll definitely be keeping an eye out. I also feel like wearing these kinds of chokers, these just sparkly ones, during the day feels very 2024. I was scrolling on TikTok the other day, which I actually don't do a whole lot, but the other day it was, and I saw someone who was wearing, I think a sparkly choker, sparkly bracelets, big sparkly earrings, and they were accessories to complement her sweatshirt. So that is kind of like a fun, creative styling choice. Why not, I say? I think wearing sparkly things more is fun. Oh, I will say that another kind of trending choker is this type, sort of fabric type, 90s type, but with a charm. So that's why I took this off that necklace, because I was like, oh, this could be a charm on that. So, like that. Have you seen these? These kinds of chokers trending? There are a lot of different options of things that could go in it, but if you have something that can slip on a necklace you already have, or, you know, you could put something like this just on a piece of ribbon, and I think it would look pretty much exactly the same as this. So you don't necessarily need to buy anything to try that trend if you have things that could go together. So, up next is a trend for the romantic at heart, or maybe the coquette at heart. That is heart-shaped jewelry. So, this one I have here, I just got this as a gift. This is, I think, a piece of sea glass. And my mom sent it to me, and I think it was made by, like, just some artist that she, I don't know if she, like, randomly ran into them like a graphic or something, I have no idea. But, sometimes she sends me things that are just kind of unique things she finds, which is nice. It can lead to some pretty interesting gifts. But, so, art jewelry of all kinds is trending right now, and I have never in my lifetime seen art jewelry trend so much. And I'm not that old, but I'm in my 30s, so I've seen a few decades, and I cannot remember ever seeing this much heart-shaped jewelry everywhere. There are two specific types of heart-shaped jewelry that are trending that don't look like mine, and I will show you some pictures. So, there is the domed, puffed type of heart-shaped jewelry. We ran into an example of that when looking through the 2003-17 magazine. Just like puffed is what it looks like. And they are usually plain metal. I've noticed they're usually gold or silver. I'm just kind of puffed up. Nice 3D look. A little bit of a modern take on a heart-shaped piece. I mean, I guess it's also, you know, 2000s, I suppose, because it was in the magazine. But it's more on the modern side to me, in that it's kind of sleek, rather than it being more on the romantic side. The other type of trending art is not sure exactly what to call it, but to me it looks like the aesthetic of the movie Romeo plus Juliet, the Baz Luhrmann version of Romeo and Juliet. So there are a lot of these heart-shaped necklaces with that very distinctive look. To me, it looks like it's drawing on Catholic iconography, and it's just sort of an over-the-top baroque version with some sort of loudly vintage elements. It's interesting that very specific kind of art is trending. I don't know if someone started that, like if there's an influencer or something who started wearing those and it became popular, or if it just kind of, bloomed out of the collective consciousness. But I really like those heart-shaped pieces. Most of the ones I've seen are red, but there are probably other colors. So, next up, we have large flowers and large flower accents. So, I've seen other people definitely talking about rosettes specifically, but I think a wider variety of flowers are trending, not just roses and rosettes. So, if you're not familiar, I'll show a picture of some rosettes. If you watched the Elle magazine flip through from last fall that we did here on this channel, there were multiple rosette necklaces in the cover feature with Phoebe Dynevor. I'm not sure if I'm saying her last name right, but in a really shadowy, beautiful photo shoot from the cover feature. So if you're not familiar with rosettes, it's basically a rose, but it's made out of fabric, so it's like a rose looking accent, but it's made out of fabric or like leather or something kind of on the flat side. I've most often seen it as an accent on chokers, fabric chokers, but I'm sure it can be used in other ways. Those are definitely trending, and they work well for the coquette micro trend, but there are other kinds of big flowers trending, which is a nice and romantic look, kind of, a bold maximalist take on romance, and the year is very romantic, so it makes sense. These aren't new. I just enjoy large flowers anyway. I like florals and like sort of realistic looking flowers. And these aren't super realistic, but I like flowers in general. They don't have to be trending for me to enjoy them. I feel like these are more similar to a lot of what I'm seeing right now. I was thinking the other day that in the 90s there were so many daisies, like daisy accents. We don't really have as many daisies on things these days. I wonder if that will come back as we kind of explore a lot of 90s and 2000s trends. But this year, if there's one kind of flower trending, it would be roses. So next, we have an evolution of something that's been trending for so long that it is a staple. Maybe let me clear some space. Oh, I love this necklace. The way it feels. It feels like a weighted blanket. I think the way it kind of nicely. But so, the trend is hoops, but more specifically, unique looking hoops and kind of bold hoops. I don't know if I would say that any particular one is trending. The next trend, maybe it combined with this, is trending more than others, but I don't really have that many unique hoops. Mine are pretty simple. These are more on the unique side because they have an interesting shape. You know, they're not circular. They're sort of teardrop shaped. I got these as a gift from my boyfriend at the time's mom, and I thought it was really sweet that she thought of me and gave me a gift. I feel like things that are like a surprise gift like that, it always makes them feel more special, because I just thought it was really nice of her to include me. It was around the holidays. But I'll show you some pictures of unique hoops, because I don't think mine are that unique. They're pretty basic, I guess. I feel like hoops in general are little dangly earring. So when we looked through the 2003 17, there were all these little dangly earrings, these little dainty dangly earrings. And when I saw them in the magazine, it reminded me that that was a really common earring choice for just like with casual clothing. And it's really not that common of a choice today. It's not, it's not something no one chooses, but a lot more common if you want to kind of jazz up a more casual look and look a little more stylish, is some hoops. Some sort of small huggy hoops. Or small hoops or huggy hoops. I've been thinking lately about when they make movies set in the early 2020s in the future, what will people be wearing? I think they're going to be wearing gold hoops and chunky chains like this. I really feel like this is the period piece of our time, because it's just had such a long life as a trending style. Maybe pearls will give them a run for their money, but this feels more defining of right now to me, because it barely feels like a trend to me, but I know it is in the wider context of decades and stuff. But it barely feels like a trend because it's been so popular. So our next trend is domed jewelry. So I have one example, a ring, and can you see? This ring is domed on the top. So let me show you it. Let's see. From the side, can you see how it's domed? This was my grandmother's. I don't know if this is 50s or 80s. It feels like one of the decades to me, but I don't know which one. But it has this domed feature, and this has been trending for rings for a while, but now it's trending on everything. Like any way that this can be used, it's being used. And in one way is on hoops. So that's one of the unique hoops we're seeing right now. But I don't really know if it's like the hoop. It feels like there are a lot to me. Okay, my camera just died. Now it's back. I think I did a couple of trends. When it was dead, I'm pretty sure it ended right around when I was was finishing talking about domed pieces like this one. So yeah, domed pieces, been popular for rings for years. Now the horizons are broadening and it's on more things. Definitely earrings. I've seen it on bangles too. So next up, we have charm jewelry. So this was trending last year, and I don't have an example, so I'll have to show you. But so charm jewelry, like charm bracelets, and then also charm necklaces and charm hoops. So this was trending last year and was quite a big trend. It continues on this year, and it makes total sense that it does because it works really well for the maximalistness of it all. Because a lot of charm bracelets that are trending right now are really colorful, and they often have really graphic looking things on them too, like initial charms. So it makes sense. It works amazing with the maximalistness of it all. To me, a lot of the charms look like they're 90s inspired on the more trendy pieces now. I have actually thought about getting a charm bracelet, but not because of the trend, but because Rhea Moon ASMR has a charm bracelet, and I love how it sounds. Her charm bracelet is pretty tricked out too. It's got charms on every link, so it's got really nice tinkling sounds with the bits of sterling silver jostling up against each other. If I got a charm bracelet, I think I would want one more like Rhea's, just because I don't personally wear a whole lot of colorful jewelry, or kind of graphic initials, stuff like that. So the more traditional one that's technically not in style, I guess, is the one that I feel like I'd get more wear out of personally. So next, something I already had out because my camera died, is tennis jewelry. So like tennis bracelets and tennis necklaces. And I've also seen people call tennis, I've seen people call eternity rings tennis rings, which I wouldn't personally, but I mean, it's like fine, because it has the same kind of design. So if you're not familiar with tennis jewelry and tennis bracelets and necklaces, basically it is a bracelet or necklace that has stones that go all the way around. These, probably generous to call these stones, this is probably like plastic. I have absolutely no idea when I got this, which means I probably got it when I was like a teenager. But it goes all the way around, as you can see. So then this is kind of like a double tennis necklace, double wide. This could be worn as a bracelet too. It doubles up really nicely. It's like the perfect length to also wear as a bracelet. And it's quite sparkly. And so tennis jewelry, it's a classic type of jewelry, but a lot of people tend to save it for more special occasions just because it's so sparkly. Tennis bracelets don't have to be sparkly, but they usually feature diamonds or something that's meant to look like diamonds, like whatever this is. So they're often very sparkly. So last year, the trend was tennis jewelry being worn with everything. So, everything from ball gowns to, your work clothes to a sweatshirt. And so to me, it makes kind of perfect sense for tennis jewelry to still be trending. It works so well with the maximalist trend. Like, wear all of these necklaces together and you're on trend. And why don't you wear it with a sweatshirt or like a polo or something like that? And that feels like a trending outfit to me. I kind of want to wear this. I love the way it's like very slinky, much like the chain bracelet. It's really hugs you. Do you want to see a hack? If you can't get a bracelet on easily by yourself, if you have literally any other thing with like a clasp like this, let me make sure I'm in the shot. Make sure I'm in the shot. If you have literally anything else with a closure that you can hook onto it, this one's kind of supersized. But I thought it would be better to show you on camera. You can use it to hold your bracelet in place so you can easily tie it or easily clasp it like this. There are kind of these stick things that you can get that have one of these on the end, so you can do basically this. You know, it's not a hack wearing nails that are longer than you're used to because they look nice but are not easy to control. I'm gonna get it. There we go. The nails made the hack harder, but I got it eventually. But I saw those stick things and I was like, oh, that would be really nice. But then I realized, oh, I can just do that with anything. And it is really helpful to be able to do that when you are by yourself and getting dressed. So now I'm sparklier. I kind of want to put this on too. I think, can this go on as triple, or I think I can do it as a triple. This I think I can shimmy on because it's like giving itself some slack. Don't do this. I don't recommend you do this. I'm sure it's not great for the pearls, but it's fine. Can I get it over the sleeve? Maximalism. So, next up, now that I'm feeling a little more maximalist, is slim watches. So, I'll have to show you a picture for this one, but basically, watches that have a jewelry style bracelet. So it's kind of like this, and then there's a watch face in between these two things right here. So it's a little confusing maybe to say that because the strap of the watch is also called a bracelet, but I mean a jewelry type of bracelet. This started coming back a few years ago, but it didn't start getting mainstream popular until more recently. So, for quite a while in the 2010s, watches for women were on the larger side, more close to men's watch sizes. And when I say watches for women and men, I mean watches that are marketed at women or men because anyone can wear any watch. But the watches marketed at women got much bigger. And I can show you an example of that because I only have one watch and it's just this one. So it has a much larger size than this if you can just imagine a really small watch face. This size of watch isn't totally out of style for women, but the ones that I'm seeing more are more sporty looking, like more sort of stainless steel, and not so much like this, which is quite, this is kind of specifically not in style perhaps, because this was such a trendy thing a while ago, somewhere in the 2010s. You could certainly still wear it though. And it is kind of really flashy, so I mean, are we maximalist or are we maximalist? This is quite a look, especially over the sleeve, which is a runway thing. Wearing bracelets over sleeves has been popular since last year. It's more so a different kind of bracelet, though. For me, I'm just putting my bracelets over my sleeve because one, you can see them better, and two, it's kind of cold in here, so I don't want to hike my sleeve up. And then three, sometimes on camera, using lights makes my skin a little too see-through, so I didn't optimize for bare arm. I'm just really fair. I don't know what it looks like on camera, but if you're really fair, you might know too, like your skin can look kind of see-through sometimes, which is like, I find it not ideal, but you know, it is what it is. I like this watch trend. I think it's pretty. A lot of the watches look kind of vintage inspired. A lot of them look like Cartier tanks to me, the ones I've seen, which is a nice timeless watch design. And speaking of vintage and timeless, the next trend is vintage and vintage inspired. So, to me, this is more of an attitude trend, or a trend sparked by attitude. I think there is a desire for a slower pace in fashion, for more sustainable things, and there is a fatigue for the constant sort of turnover, especially with, you know, the micro trends making fashion go even faster than fast fashion already was making it go. So I think that's because people are craving, you know, more of a quiet luxury vibe. They are more interested in vintage things, and it also fits in with the overall trend towards sustainable things, which is just a consumer trend in general. People wanting more sustainable products. So, out of the vintage category, I don't know if there's any one dominant vintage era. If I had to pick, I would pick Art Deco, because I see a little bit more of that, and also it's very popular for bridal and engagement rings and wedding rings. I mean, if you're not familiar, Art Deco is a design period that began in the early 1920s, and it was largely defined by its use of geometric shapes. So I think that these earrings I have are a fairly good example of Art Deco design. So they have these strong shapes and a bunch of different shapes nicely together in this patterned design. At the center here we have an emerald cut stone, and then we have these these lines coming out from it, creating shapes and sort of a pattern of shapes. So apart from that, I have seen some people say that the 80s are dominant in jewelry, but then when they say that, they don't get specific, and I would like if they could get specific, because I'm really not totally sure what element they're referring to. So that the 80s are really a loud decade when it comes to fashion and jewelry. And right now things are pretty loud and maximalist, and a lot of the pieces are bolder and bigger, but I just don't feel like I know what people mean when they say that, and no one was getting specific. And then I tried to look into it, and I wasn't feeling like I was getting definitive results. I will say that to me, the one thing that feels pretty 80s is domes like these, but I'm not totally confident of that. This could also be retro era, like 50s-ish. I feel like I need to research 80s jewelry a little more, and I was thinking maybe I should get some 80s magazines or maybe catalogs and do some jewelry spotting, because it was actually kind of challenging to look up 80s jewelry. Google is a little bit broken lately, so that's an issue. I don't know if you've noticed that Google gives worse results lately, but it does. It's just a problem. Like, I feel so certain that there are great resources on the internet that could tell me what 80s jewelry was like, but they are just not that easy to find at the moment. And there are specific places that I might go to see what a specific source that I know is good says. But when I did that, trying to look for the 80s, they skipped over the 80s. So they went straight from like retro and mid-century to 90s, and they didn't do the 70s or the 80s. So if you know any good sources for information on 80s jewelry, I'd love to hear it. I feel like I might need to get a library card or something to research at home more quickly, because the internet is not as easy to find things on lately as it used to be. The results are just not that good. I don't know what's going on. I hope it gets fixed, but time will tell. And in the meantime, I'm probably gonna get a library card and order some vintage magazines. So next up is cuffs, wide cuffs. So I have one piece that fits the bill, but I will say that a lot of the cuffs that are trending right now look a lot more modern than this. So like think silvery, abstract shapes, like a cool, modern, sleek, shiny. I'm not as into that design style, so I don't have that much of it. But this is kind of the general size, and really often on the runway, people are wearing like matching ones. So imagine if I had two of this. It's a high impact trend. Oh, and this is the kind of bracelet that is being worn over clothes a lot. It's a high impact trend, very maximalist. Okay, next up is an overall trend, and it is lab-grown diamonds and gemstones. I'll just go over this really briefly. I say that and I'll probably talk about it for 10 minutes, but it's hard to show a picture example of this because they just look like normal gemstones. So I know that lab-grown diamonds in particular have become much more popular recently, is more popular because people are more focused on sustainability and ethics, and they like them because of that. And while I think that absolutely plays a role, I'm of the opinion that they've become much more popular recently because there's been a substantial price drop, a really substantial price drop, especially for the diamonds. Basically they used to be maybe like 10 to 30% less than, cost 10 to 30% less than, say, natural diamonds, like lab-grown diamonds would. And that's not nearly as attractive as right now, when they cost like often half the amount or less. So I think that people who are already really interested in lab-grown for ethical reasons were already going to get them, and now this makes it look even more attractive. And then people who maybe, weren't necessarily thinking about sustainability or anything, when they see the difference in what they can get in their budget if they go lab-grown, it's like very obvious to them that they should just get lab-grown because your budget can go way farther nowadays. I think this trend is great because it puts gemstones that will last for a long time much more in reach of people who have a smaller budget. So I think it's a great trend. I'm glad those prices came down. I've been seeing some more lab-grown sapphires too, which is awesome. Sapphires are really, really durable. Diamonds are like a touch harder, but sapphires are an amazing stone for any kind of jewelry, and they come in basically every color. The only color they don't come in is red, and that's because when the mineral that a sapphire is red, we call it a ruby. So, same mineral, but rubies get a special name. Really great for everyday wear. I think it's great that there's more lab-grown options, because if you're not familiar with them, lab-grown gemstones, they are the exact same gemstone, but just made in a lab. So it's not like a fake thing. It's not like a cubic zirconia that's trying to look like a diamond. A lab-grown diamond is an actual diamond, like made of carbon, super strong. So overall, I think this trend is great, and I know it's been really, really huge for jewelers who were early adopters. It's doing well, I'll just say that. Okay, so next up, our second to last major trend. I know there are a lot, but I just thought I would tell you basically all of the ones I noticed. If I were writing something, I'd probably pick the top 10, but you're getting like 20-ish total with the minor ones we're gonna go over, or maybe a little more. Next up we have a precious metal trend. So for fine and fashion jewelry, yellow gold has been super, super popular for quite a while now, but finally silver is giving it a little bit of not a run for its money, but it exists now in stores. So if silver is your favorite precious metal, this is great news, because a few years ago it was not as easy to find silver toned things. So by that I mean sterling silver, white gold, platinum, all of the silver tones, and then just things that are like, I don't know, silver, and they might turn your neck green eventually, whatever they're made of. But a few years ago, it was hard to find silver things like at the mall, because it was just all yellow gold, because yellow gold's been so popular for so long. But now there's so much more silver stuff. So if silver is your favorite precious metal, there's so many more options for you now in stores, just in everything. I will say that a lot of the silver jewelry is on the sleeker side. So I suppose kind of more like this or this than this or this, which has some sort of like more romantic detailing. It tends a little more modern, but there are way more silver options. So, oh wait, that was our last main trend, not our second to last. Moving on to our more minor trends. We do have 9 of them. First up, we have body jewelry and hair jewelry. So, body jewelry was trending last year, and it wasn't kind of what I think of first when I hear body jewelry, which is like a belly chain. It was more so things worn over clothes or kind of under clothes, like think a blazer with nothing underneath it, and then a body chain underneath it. So like no shirt but body chain. So it wasn't just trending for summery things, it was more of like a fall and winter trend too. This year, I think we're seeing some of that, and then we're also seeing a lot of sort of over the clothes belt jewelry kind of, which I can show a picture of. That looks a little bit 80s to me, but I would need to investigate to feel confident. So this is like a waist chain. I don't want it that much, but I want it over clothes when I have. And this is hair jewelry. It's missing a couple of stones. I need to repair it. But yeah, a wide variety of things are being pinned in the hair, kind of. This is obviously specifically meant to go in your hair because it has these combs. But you could wear anything in your hair, and you just have to get creative, I guess. I was thinking that this necklace, which is kind of specifically not in style, I suppose. It's a very 2010s statement necklace situation. But I was thinking that this could be really nice pinned in your hair. So I can imagine doing a half up, half down look. I think this could be a really pretty decoration. Like around where you have your hair pinned and gathered. You could pin it in more than one way too. Just depends on how you want to do it. You would just have to hide the chain, but if your hair is pinned up, half up, or all the way up, I think it would be pretty easy to tuck it away. So the body jewelry was trending last year, but it was much more delicate, like this, whereas the things that are trending this year seem much bolder. Right now this one seems kind of like a runway and fashion-y person trend to me, but maybe I'll see it in the wild soon. Next up, we have something that would be very easy to transform into hair jewelry if you're so inclined, and it's brooches. I don't have any, so I'll show you some pictures. This is something that has kind of popped up on runways, and like fashion designers are putting them out a bit when maybe they don't normally. To me it seems like sort of a minor trend though, because this is kind of another thing that feels like a runway and fashion trend to me. Runway and fashion person trend. Or, you know, people who always wear brooches are just gonna wear brooches more. Or like, you know, with this trend, I find myself wondering, you know, how many people who don't normally wear brooches brooches because of this trend. I'm not sure it will be a ton, so for me it's kind of in the more minor category, but I mean it's definitely a pretty item. And this is another one that I think works well for all three of those micro trends. It's a quiet luxury, the coquette, and the office siren. A brooch could fit in any of those looks, I think. But I just feel like, I don't know how widely that's going to be adopted. But we'll see. So then another thing that's a minor trend. This is an emerging trend, and it is cameos. So, you know, like the little portrait-looking things with like the side of a lady's head. That kind of a cameo. I've mostly seen them as charms on this kind of a necklace, but they're popping up in other places here and there as well. But right now it feels more like a minor trend, something to keep an eye on. So the next minor trend is wine necklaces and lariats. So this is something that I haven't really seen. Many people talking about. I just noticed it fairly recently. So if you're not familiar, I have to push these guys up so I can show you better. A Y necklace looks like a Y because it has a drop feature. This is a triple layered one, so imagine that those top ones aren't there, and it just looks like that. So this, and then also lariats, which are like a Y necklace, which by the way can also be called a drop necklace because of this drop feature. But lariats thread through, so they kind of like, imagine if this had a hole here and something were threaded through. And because of that, lariats are often adjustable, so they can look kind of like a Y necklace, or they can be adjusted to look more like a pendant necklace. So this is kind of just something that I'm keeping my eye on, and I've noticed. Basically, I've just seen people wearing Y necklaces when maybe last year they would have been wearing pendant necklaces. I'm just seeing this kind of pop up around, and I mean, I think it's fun. It's kind of a nice alternative to a pendant necklace with a similar vibe. But Y necklaces and lariats can also be quite sexy because, especially if the drop goes down a lot. So if you like a plunging neckline now and again, a lariat or a Y necklace that drops is a really pretty accent to consider trying out. Next up we have another trend that I have just been noticing and haven't really seen anyone talk about much yet, and that is festoon necklaces. So I'll have to show you a picture of this because I don't have this necklace, and it is quite a specific type of necklace too. So festoon necklaces have kind of a scalloped shape. I believe they're named for like a garland. It's called a festoon, something like that. So, to my knowledge, the defining feature is that garland-like shape, but a lot of the time it also has like kind of tiers. And the festoon necklaces that I've seen lately have a vintage look festoon necklaces all of a sudden. Is this maybe Bridgerton influence? I don't watch Bridgerton. I don't watch much TV in general. But I'm on festoon necklace watch, and I've seen it enough that it feels like a minor trend, especially because it's coming from like kind of no one wearing it to some people wearing it. And for this, so it's a jump for this particular kind of necklace. I do think this necklace is a lot of fun. It works well for coquette, and it's quite maximalist. It tends to have a vintagey look. It really makes a statement. It could look quite girly if you wear it with something girly, but I think it could also look kind of cool if you wore it with, I don't know, a band t-shirt or something, for that contrast. It's a fun necklace. I'm excited to see if it gets more popular, if it's just having this little moment now. Next up, we have something that I didn't really notice until I was preparing for this video, and it is door knocker earrings. This is another thing that has an 80s energy to me, but I don't feel confident enough to say that it's an 80s piece because I feel like I need to do more research. But if you're not familiar with this kind of earring, it's called a door knocker earring because it looks like a door knocker. I'm trying to make a makeshift one to show you. I'll show you pictures too. But so it has like a circular feature here, and then another one here, and so it's kind of like knock, 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 like a door knocker. But they're ones I've been seeing are really chunky, tend to be gold, sometimes have these sort of grooved looking accents. It looks very 80s to me, but again, I'm not totally sure. I saw these everywhere when I was preparing on a lot of retailer sites, especially high-end retailers for some reason, which is kind of confusing to me. But I feel like this must be coming from somewhere, and I just don't know where exactly. But it's a fun kind of bold earring, and it does actually feels like an evolution of the unique hoop. It's hoop adjacent, and it's quite unique looking and bold, and it's kind of fun. Something about it is a little bit whimsical to me, but it doesn't look that whimsical. It looks kind of like, I don't know, maybe powerful. It has a bold look for sure. So next up, we have the minor trend that goes with the netting. If you recall from earlier, that's one of the things that is a fashion trend, which is kind of interesting. But netting is trending, and so are oceanic motifs. So I'll just show you pictures of this one. Oceanic motifs, so like shells, sea horses, sea stars, things like that, crabs. There's just a bump in little oceanic creatures and shells and such. You know, think like a big stud that's in a shell shape. It's not actual shell at the moment, but like, you know, a gold image of a shell. Like if you drew a cartoon depiction of a shell. This is kind of new, and I saw some fashion people on TikTok, including Mandy, Lee, I think, off the top of my head. They were speculating that nautical is going to come back. Nautical fashion was like a prediction that they had for this year. So this kind of feels right for that. And the netting, it has like a fish netting look. It feels like it's in the same family to me. This is a cute trend. It's fun. whimsical. It's like, it's interesting. And if you like little oceanic motifs, there's probably more opportunity right now to get some sort of bolder ones, because everything seems to be on the bigger side lately. Next up, we have emerald green in color. So this is something I noticed when preparing for this post and looking at retailers. There wasn't that much color. When there was, it was either multicolored, like in the case of charm bracelets with colorful charms that are popular at the moment, or it was green, and specifically emerald green. So like, I have this piece with a tiny, I think this is a tiny bit of malachite or something masquerading as it, but this kind of deeper, richer green. I'm not sure why that is what's trending, but it was like very noticeable to me when I looked at a lot of retailers that this is what they had. But it seems like a pretty minor trend to me. It was also, when I sorted by like bestseller, it was up there for some of the retailers, these green pieces. So there were actual emeralds, and I did see malachite, and I saw also some green enamel in this sort of deeper lush green. Okay, our second to last trend is something that is certainly a runway trend, but it's just not something that I personally really see in the real world that much. So I'm putting it as a minor trend, and it is, let me create an example, asymmetrical earrings. So this can look a lot of different ways, but it's basically an asymmetrical situation on your ears. A lot of the time when I see others using pictures to do examples of the trend, it'll be kind of a pair of earrings with a similar style, but then one is small and one is long. This is something that has been trending on runways for like 3 years, and I'm always seeing it mentioned as a trend, but I just don't see this in the real world. I don't see this very much on social media, and I have seen it on runways for sure. People who are kind of have more bold style maybe wear this, but it feels like more of a minor trend to me. But if you like this trend, you can easily DIY it with basically, doing anything like this, or like, I probably have a more interesting match. Maybe this sort of ear climber on one ear, and then this unique hoop on the other. Maybe that could be good. So like this is the bottom of this earring, it climbs up the ear, and then the hoop goes down, similar silver tones. I will say that a real world thing I've seen is people wearing just different earrings on their ears. So, maybe just like random studs on their ears, but it doesn't really look kind of specifically asymmetrical to me in the way I'm seeing it like displayed as like an example of the trend. Hopefully that makes sense. It tends to be very exaggerated, and I just don't really see that. And to me, like wearing just different studs doesn't really feel like wearing asymmetrical earrings. It feels just more like having a personalized layered stack, not necessarily asymmetrical. Okay, our last trend is kind of an honorable mention, and it is the Vivienne Westwood Saturn motif charm thing. So this stands out to me because it's kind of notably a year for not having a lot of logos in general. It's atypical, like there's an atypical lack of logos. Usually there's at least some presence, but it's pretty minimal when it comes to logos and fashion house motifs, but with an exception, and it's that Vivienne Westwood Saturn. I tried to look at the name of this, the little planet, before making this video, and I get kind of confused because sometimes it was called like an orb, the Vivienne Westwood orb, and sometimes it was called a Saturn, and sometimes it was called something else that's slipping my mind. But you've probably seen this because it's been popular for a few years, a little more popular than normal, I would say. It always has some kind of presence because, you know, that's her house's symbol, the same way you're going to see C's for Chanel and G's for Gucci and the little routed triangle. But I just feel like the Vivienne Westwood Saturn has more of a place today. I just keep seeing it a lot more than basically any other logo, so I wanted to point it out. It's very cute. I suppose it is kind of maximalist. Instead of a C, it's a whole planet, and a lot of times the Saturn is kind of bedazzled and ornate looking. I'm sure I'll be able to find a pearl version too. Okay, lastly, I just want to talk about two things that I'm watching out for. So, these are not trending, and I'm just wondering, when are they coming back? So, one is something that I've mentioned in videos before, because it feels like it's simmering at a comeback, but I don't think it's back in terms of trends, and that is rose gold. If your favorite precious metal is rose gold, I'm sorry that it is not easy to find things right now, and it has not been easy for a while. Of course, you can always get something made in rose gold at a jeweler, and fine jewelers will have options for you to have pieces made in different metals. But when it comes to, buying things at a local store to you that's not a jeweler, there are like no rose gold options lately because it's just been kind of specifically not trending for such a long time. The last time that I remember it being popular was when everyone was talking about millennial pink. So it's been down so long, I just keep thinking it's gotta come back up. And then a couple of our magazine flip-throughs, we did see it as a watch and as a couple of really high-end pieces of jewelry. So that makes me think, ooh, is it coming? Will this be the year it makes a return? I've been kind of looking out for it for a while, like definitely more than a year. I just keep thinking, like, when is it coming back? Because it's been so long. But we'll see if it comes back this year, or if there's no appetite. I feel like it could look really nice with the coquette theme, because it's such there was a lot of blushing pink. So I think that rose gold could be a nice blushing pink gold accent to that. But it means so can other precious metals, so we'll see. And then the other thing that I'm wondering, when will it come back? It's just been so long. But it's long necklaces. This is a locket, which I almost put on the trending list this year, but I don't think it's really trending that much anymore. It kind of is. I feel like cameos are taking over the place that lockets had last year and the year before, and heart-shaped jewelry. sort of a Regency direction. Maybe we're gonna start seeing some like opera length pearls or something, some really long pearls. This wraps up our look at the top jewelry trends of 2024. I'd love to know if you have a favorite, or if you think there's something I've missed. I'd love to hear that too. There are so many fun things to try this year. Will my nail be able to get this off? I'm so not good at doing things in longer nails. There, I got it though. I got it pretty easily. Maybe I am good at doing things in long nails. Well, if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Oh, and I should say, I've heard that some people are getting mid-roll ads on my videos, and I'm really sorry if you're getting them, but at the moment, I don't have control over that. If you aren't eligible to be monetized yet, YouTube controls any ads that may or may not be on your videos, and so they are just automatically placed on my videos, and I think it's kind of random and maybe based on like individual people, like YouTube. The YouTube algorithm gives different people different ads, to my understanding. But as soon as I am eligible to apply for the monetization program, I will, and I will turn off ads as soon as possible, the mid-roll ads. I think you can't turn off beginning and end ads, but you can turn off mid-rolls if you are in the program. So to apply for the partner program, you need 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours of watch time in the last year. And this channel is actually well over that watch time, so thank you so much to everyone who has watched the videos on this channel. I'm really glad if you find them relaxing or entertaining or both. But I'm not at the 1,000 subscribers yet, so if you're not subscribed yet, please subscribe. And again, I'm sorry for the inconvenience if you're getting mid-rolls. Oh, and if for anyone who doesn't know, mid-rolls just means ads that play in the middle of a video, somewhere in the middle.